Bob Coppage, CEO of Simplex IT, talking about the second day, really the main day of CompTIA CCF event, which is again where leadership and some of the key volunteers and people like me get together and really talk, both to review some of the materials and stuff that's been done over the past year, and also figure out what we're together volunteering to do for not just the managed service industry, but also essentially the IT industry in terms of supporting smaller organizations. So we started in the morning of really this is the only full day. There's half a day for first day, full day yesterday, and then half a day today. And I already did the day one. This is day two, and I'm really probably not going to do day three because we're already kind of partway through it. And I'll explain a little bit about what's going on. But one of the things that they did was they kind of did a review of what the state of affairs is as far as CompTIA. And again, CompTIA is one of the largest non-vendor aligned IT professional or IT support organization, whatever. And one of the things that they did was they did a review over some of the programs they do. And I've got a slide up here of the top offerings or membership offerings by perceived value on the part of the membership. And as you can see, a lot of people think in terms of that CompTIA is all about, A+, about certifications, about all that. And they certainly are. But they're also, with the Trustmark, these cybersecurity programs as far as training and developing the organization's ability, primarily on the MSP right now, to actually adhere or aspire to adhere to various cybersecurity frameworks and the like. Also, a ton of industry insight, research, market intelligence, all that. Especially to keep in mind, it's not vendor specific. So it's not the world according to Microsoft or the world according to Amazon or the world according to Bob Coppage, which is an interesting world. More on that some other day. But as you can see, there's a whole bunch of other stuff that they do as well. So it was nice to kind of get that reminder of what CompTIA does. Because they don't always communicate it terribly effectively. Their website is a place where content often goes to die. And this is something I've been very clear on when I've spoken to my CompTIA friends, of which I have none, but that their website navigating and finding stuff is difficult, but boy, is it worth it when you find some good nuggets of information and research and the like. So that was good to go over. They're also going through all sorts of name changes as far as talking, forums to committees to this, that, or the other thing, whatever. So that was good. And then one of the other things that was talking about was basically a state of the industry. And this is one of the things is where CompTIA really shines and essentially show what's the channel health, and the channel again being IT support for small, medium businesses. And really going through the assessment, and I'm going to run through, they're just going to show some of the PowerPoint slide pictures that I took from the presentation, where we talk about, like what the demand is for cybersecurity services, and of course, what's the demand for AI and things along those lines. But it was kind of nice to see all of the other things that were being identified as far as needs and the like for the industry. So that was cool. And also, what are the skills needed? Where are we finding gaps in terms of workforce development, so on and so forth. So that was cool. Anyway, so that was great, and that was pretty much the morning process. And then in the afternoon, we actually broke into, and this was the core of what we were trying to do, and had our individual group meeting. Now, I'm on the Channel Development Advisory Council, meaning that we create both content, direction, materials, whatever you want to call it, for organizations that are trying to deliver goods and services through the channel. Now, primarily, these are either managed service providers, such as Simplex IT, or vendors who partner with managed service providers, Ingram Micro, Microsoft, so on and so forth, who either sell directly to the directly to the client or directly to the MSP, who then resells to the client. And one of the things that we had some really good conversations on is the hero's journey. And those of you who know hero's journey, and the essentially a longstanding conversation about how someone ends up becoming the hero to the story. But here's the question or the challenge is that we tend to forget who the actual hero is. And everybody is the hero of their hero's journey. So you could make the case that the vendor selling the goods and services to the MSP, from their perspective, they're the hero. From the MSP, from their perspective, our perspective, we're the hero. And then the client who they're delivering their own goods and services, they're the hero. And every three of those hero perspectives and frameworks are absolutely spot on, accurate, and they're also not accurate depending upon who's interpreting it. Anyway, but one of the things that we really were trying to figure out are how do we create some goods and services or some materials that really nail down helping the smaller managed service provider, the smaller vendor entering it, how do we help them create materials that are going to be recognized as the hero journey process? And anyway, so good. We created some ideas and all of that. Then there was an award banquet, and some people were recognized for some great volunteerism and great contributions to the industry. I was actually nominated last year, so they'll nominate anyone. But there's some good recognition of folks whose contributions, and a lot of those folks I know and I've worked with. Now that they're hoity-toity nominees or award winners, they won't admit to knowing me, but what are you going to do? But that was a cool thing. There was probably about 200 people here for that. And then the bars. And normally I sit back and I'm not a big, hey, let's go out and party and go to bars and post pictures of us having a great time. But there's two things that I thought was really interesting. And I actually ended up at about 3 or 4 bars. We kind of walked around. We're in downtown Chicago, beautiful city with the rivers and all that. And had some absolutely fantastic conversations, not only on how do we realign the hero journey conversation. So we're talking about the end client, the person who ultimately consumes and delivers our goods and services, along with the vendor's goods and services in order to deliver their goods and services, because our industry is missing that conversation of how do we translate what we do into their hero's journey. But also had several conversations with people about storytelling and how we as an industry really need to get better at creating and telling the stories for both our employees, our coworkers, and our clients. And the vendors have to as well, because stories are one of the best tools to use in order to actually create that understanding of hard to understand concepts. So, it gets back to I love the stories to be able to talk about cybersecurity. You should take it seriously because cyber criminals are entrepreneurs. And when I say that to entrepreneurs, they understand it better. And this industry is awash with needs to communicate more effectively. And so many of us geeks, we are great storytellers, but we don't realize it. We're telling these stories about this is technology gone awry or this, that, or the other thing. And we're absolutely fantastic about it. But ask us to communicate something, especially on stage or professionally or whatever, and we freeze. And one of the things I would love to do is I would love to actually do some things at conferences like this that actually talk about developing more of the innate and native storytelling abilities that every human being, but even every geek has. So that was one of the conversations. Had several with several folks, and had some really good conversations about, and I've talked about this in other videos as well. But the whole concept of IT was originally capital T, lowercase I. We're all about the technology, but we then became a combination of information and technology, and now we're information primary and technology being a secondary. And again, I'll say it, the last 3 significant increases in IT have all been I, and that is, big data, cybersecurity, and artificial intelligence, AI. And those are requiring a completely different mindset in order to consume properly and take advantage of or protect against the threats and opportunities that those provide us. But it's a totally different skill set than our traditional IT upbringings that so many of us, people who've been in the industry for a while, learned. And how do we make that pivot? And how do we help our clients make that pivot? And I was talking with several people about some ways we could actually get better at addressing that. And these are some of the pictures at some of the bars where these conversations were having. And it's one of those, I don't do bars just as a, hey, let's go out and have fun and party. That's not my thing. But these types of conversations that I had, boy, they absolutely spot on. And I think that over the next 3 to 4 months, you're going to hear about some stuff. It's going to be a direct result of some of those conversations. So, anywho, so now we're here to Thursday morning. They've already had one of the keynote introductions. I'm on a break, so I wanted to sneak away and do this video where they basically are talking about what is changing in the MSP industry and then talking about some of the best next practices that we all have to develop. That's going to be cool as well. And then it will be back home to Cleveland for a while, and then I'll be back in town for another month. So, anywho, a lot of stuff there. Hopefully some of it was useful. And let me know some comments, because I try to do this for every conference that I go to. Let me have some comments, feedback, especially if you're at these conferences or if there's stuff that you'd like to hear more about. Because I think this is valuable. It's this or post pictures of me on airplanes. And what's the point of that? Anyway, catch y'all later. Bye.